morning. We're back here at Crafco's equipment plant in Arizona. We've got an Easy 1000 here with an electric hose. Today we're going to show you how to convert this unit over to a standard hose unit and get that going, and then we'll go the other way and we'll show you how to take the standard hose off and get it ready to put the electric hose back on and go back to an electric hose unit. So before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about safety. This machine is cold, so we're not working with an elevated temperature. This can be done if you're out in the field already working and the machine is hot. You just need to make sure that you've got proper PPE, good gloves, long sleeve shirt on, you've got safety glasses on, and we want to make sure before you start opening anything up that you've reversed the pump and you've sucked all the material out of the piping that you can get, and then shut the machine down so we have no pressure on any of these pipes. So make sure you do that first before you go to do this operation. So the first thing we're going to want to do is disconnect the electric hose up here at the top. This is where the material flows from the inside of the cabinet into the hose itself. So we'll take that loose, and then we're just going to kind of set that aside for a moment, and then we'll go into the inside of the box and we'll open up the pipe on the inside of the box. So this is your first step here. We get that hose off and open up that pipe that goes down into the cabinet. Okay, so we have the top open up. Now Robbie's going to open up the plug at the bottom of the pipe here and get that opened up. Now, because this machine is cold, there's no material is going to come out of this, but we are going to have to clean it. So the next thing we'll do is put a bucket kind of right up underneath that that fitting, and then we're going to take a small hand torch. We'll light that, and we're just going to heat up that that elbow and that T right there. And what we want to do is just get the material to flow out of there. This would be the cold material that was left in that piping and that little elbow there at the bottom. So obviously we're not running the torch right now, but we wanted to show you what you would do right in that location. So once we get that heated up and get the cold material out of there, you should see a little bit of steam coming out of the top of the pipe. That way we know when that happens, we know we've got that cleaned out, and now we're ready to put the new hose in. Now that we have that pipe cleaned out, we're going to plug this fitting up here at the top, and that'll keep any of the material, once the pump is flowing, from coming out the top. It'll force it all down into the hose at the bottom. This is very important to make sure you remember to do this. If you don't, obviously we're going to pump material up through that top of that fitting. So here's our standard hose. What we do recommend is to add our stainless steel adapter here. One nice feature with this, when you put this on, this gets it away from the hot pipe that's down inside there, and that will help keep your hose from getting scorched over time and get you a little more longevity out of your hose. We've also added on a swivel that goes in here, and that will help keep the hose from getting bound up, and will let it swivel as you're taking it in and out and wrapping it up on your hose reel. So next we're going to go ahead and get this installed. Now Robbie's threading that hose extension right up into that fitting there, and we'll get that tightened up, and that's going to kind of complete our attachment there of the hose. As you can see with that swivel on there, that allows him to thread that on and not bind up the hose. now we've got that hose connected up on there, and we can go ahead and get it wrapped up on the hose rack. So we've got the hose on here. This is the valve that goes on to your wand itself, so you'll have to go ahead and get that threaded on. And again, we've added a swivel here just to allow that to swivel. That just makes it a lot easier when you're connecting and disconnecting from your wand. So we'll go ahead now and get this wrapped up into the machine. You can see we've got that wrapped up in there. There is an access hole in the bottom of that oven where you're going to want to put the tip of that valve down inside there. And then you also want to make sure you leave your valve in the open position. So you can also mount your wand in there and have it go down. There's a hole in the bottom of the oven for the wand to go down into. And as it's heating up, that will help drain any material out of that wand also. So now we're looking in the junction box here. And what we need to do is to disconnect the wires for the electric hose and get them taken out of there. You're going to have 4 or 3 blue wires that you're going to take off, and then you're going to have a white and a black wire that will come out of there. And these are all color coded, so they're real easy to identify to put them back on when you're ready to put them back on.
And 2 red wires.
And then 2 red wires also, yes. Once you get all the wires disconnected, you'll be able to remove the hose off the boom, and that frees up the boom to be able to use it with the standard hose. You'll have to work a little to get the wires all to feed down through that fitting, but they will all fit. Alright, so now we've got everything together, and this standard hose is ready to go to work for you. So now you would just follow the standard startup procedure for a standard hose. I do want to mention that you want to make sure in your control box that you switch from the electric hose to the standard hose here. So once you do that, then you're in the standard hose mode and you're ready to get it started up and get to work. All right. Now that you've done a proper shutdown on this machine, you've made sure that all the material was drained out of this hose, we're going to go through the steps on taking a standard hose out and installing an electric hose and going back to electric. So our first step is here, we're going to go ahead and take this hose off. Now keep in mind, this machine is cold, so we're not worried about any material dripping out of this pipe. But if you were doing this with a hot machine, you're going to get some hot material that's going to come down out of that pipe. So once we have the hose off, now we're going to go ahead and take the plug off the fitting at the top. That'll open up that pipe all the way through. And then we'll go through the same process. We're going to put a little heat to the pipe and that three-way connection there, and make sure we've got any cold material out of that pipe. So again, we'll put a bucket up underneath there and then run a torch around that T there and up that pipe a little bit. Make sure we get any material out of there that may have gotten up in there and gotten cold. Okay. So now that we've got that done, we'll go ahead and replace the plug in the bottom.
They are two different sizes.
Yeah, you've got a 1-inch plug on the bottom and a 3/4 inch plug up on the top. Depending on how your machine is made, originally you may have one or the other already on the machine, and you may have to pick up one. Alright, so we got that tight now. Now we'll go ahead and install the hose up on the top, and then we'll get it wired back in. You do want to take care when threading this back in so it starts threading in properly and you don't cross thread anything. So if you're installing this hose on a cold machine, you get it snugged up. Once you get it started up and heating, you're going to want to go ahead and just double check your fittings here. Make sure that it's good and tight, along with the plug underneath on the bottom of the pipe. So now you're ready to feed the wires up through there. You're going to have to put in a couple at a time and kind of get them pulled up through there. They do have the connectors on them, so it takes a little bit of finesse to get them worked through that little elbow and up into the bottom of the junction box. Just a little caution when you're pulling on those connectors. You don't want to pull the connectors off the wires. So you put a little pressure on the back side, kind of pushing them and then pulling them from the front side. So now as you're starting to put the wires all back together, you have the 3 blue wires that go on the far left side there, all in a row vertically. And then you have 2 red wires that go to the red connectors, and you have a white and a black wire which go to a white and black connector. So again, it's all color coded for you and very easy to put those on.
White and black are the hose sensor, reds are the trigger. Blues don't matter where they go, either one, any post.
So our electric hose is all back on, all wired up. What you want to make sure you remember to do now is to put your selector switch back to electric for your hose, and then that way that will run all your electronics and heat your hose and run your hose properly. So that's basically it. This one's ready to go back to work in the electric hose mode. Keep in mind, the only way you can run an electric and a standard is if you buy a melter with the electric hose on it. If you buy just the standard hose model, then you can only run the standard and you cannot run the electric. But if you buy the electric hose model, you can switch back and forth to either one. So thank you for being with us this morning. If you've got any questions or we can help you with anything, either call us on our 1-800 number or visit us at www.crafco.com.